Hello. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the surgery I had, even though it's been a long time now since I've had the surgery. It's been since October 26th. I feel like I never really had a video where I talked about it as in depth as I'd like to now. And hoping that this will be some kind of alleviation if you ever needed to get a surgery like this. I know that everyone experiences surgery different. Sometimes some people can't handle anesthesia. Some people's bodies don't like to recover as easy as others. I've had 7 surgeries in my life, and every single one of them, except for one, went really well during the surgery. I was able to recover well from all of them. There was 2 that I had a harder time recovering from in my life, but other than that, I was amazed at how well this surgery went. It was the longest surgery I ever had. It's a radial nerve repair surgery. So it started out as an exploratory surgery. She didn't know what she would be looking at. Obviously, my surgeon, she had to look at an x-ray and all the x-rays that I had had before from the major injury to my arm. So really she only saw what the bones looked like, not like what all the muscles and the nerves and everything would look like. They only knew that my nerve was severed when we did nerve testing, which is like electricity and needles that have a reading on how your nerves respond, not only to the electricity, but I'm not 100% how that works actually. I've heard of a lot of people getting nerve testing done. They were sticking needles in my arm here, and I couldn't feel the needles going in. And I remember that last one that he did there on my arm about here in the forearm. He's like, yeah, there's no connectivity. My radial nerve was completely severed. But my surgeon doctor, she said that out of the 3 nerves, the medial, the ulnar, and the radial nerve, it was best that it was the radial nerve, because the radial nerve, when repaired, typically likes to heal easier than the other 2. So out of that horrific injury, I'm glad it was that nerve. So she went in as an exploratory surgery. She said that she would look around and see how things looked, and she was certain that from what she thought and heard and saw from all my scans, that it would be that she'd be able to take the 2 nerve ends, or the radial nerve, cut off the ends that were of dead tissue, and take my sural nerve out of my leg, which I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to show you this, but there's some lines here. This one's fading right here. They took 14 centimeters out of my leg there of the sural nerve, and they grafted it into my right arm here. The entry wound of my accident was right here, and she decided that she'd start there. But she started a little bit past it. And I don't know if that was from healing or whatnot, but it definitely doesn't look like where the bullet went into my arm, that, you know, that's where she cut into. It was right next to it. And it was a 4.5-hour surgery. She was able to take more of the sural nerve than she needed. She only needed 10 centimeters apparently for grafting, but she took 14. And I said, it's okay, you know, it's better that you took more and didn't have to go back. Obviously, it was one of those type of surgeries where there wasn't 100% guarantee how the ending result would be. So she did let me know that if this surgery turned out that it didn't work, as in bringing back feeling from below my elbow into my hand, that there was tendon repair surgery, so there was more options. But I was very confident in the way that she spoke, that she knew what she was doing and that she'd be a good surgeon for me. So I really feel like if you had to get a surgery that was that significant, that terrorizing, that for starters, you'd want to be certain the person that is going to do your surgery, that you feel you have a good connection with, and that they know everything they're talking about, including that they've read everything in your chart and from other doctors, if you got sent over to another doctor like I did. You just want to make sure that they're on board with everything. Obviously, I had my mother go with me when I went to do my first consultation with her, because at that point we weren't sure if I would need to go to Boston or if I'd be able to have my surgery here in Maine, where I am. And I was so thankful because I had no money to travel whatsoever. I had gotten my last 2 paychecks over the summer after my injury and was out of work, so I had like $900 to last me, and I was told I wouldn't be able to work till December, give or take. And even with the surgery, it put me out to not being able to work until late December, and it was really frustrating. In the first 2 weeks, I didn't really feel my arm too much. It was wrapped really tight, and I had a plaster cast on the bottom, and it was wrapped all the way to my hand, and I really didn't feel it. In fact, when I woke up from my surgery, I didn't know I had an arm. It was so weird. I couldn't feel anything. It was so numb. My leg hurt. That was the worst pain that I had. And for 4 to 5 weeks, my foot and my leg felt like I was being electrocuted if I accidentally bent the wrong way. If I stepped out of a car or stepped down the stairs with my right foot first, it felt excruciating. I always had to remember left foot and more pressure on the left side. I'd have to do, like when I had to bend down to grab something, I'd have to get in this position, lean back and grab with my left side. It was really hard to deal with. It took a really hard mental toll on me, but 2.5 weeks, I remember I was in bed and I felt all this weird like pins and needles underneath my cast, so I don't really know what was going on, but I was awake by all this weird activity that I could feel in my arm. Before the surgery, I couldn't feel anything from here to here on the top side. I could feel on the bottom side here. I couldn't feel the side, and I still have lack of feeling all in here. So with the grafting, there's centimeters of growth of the nerve coming back to life, so to speak. But at 2 weeks, I could already feel most of this. I don't feel it 100%, but I definitely know that something's being touched there. She's measured about 6 centimeters in growth from the starting point of where she cut in. Not up here, but in the middle. And so 6 centimeters since October 26th. I won't be going back to see her till April 1st. And hoping that there will be more. But we don't know as of now if it will ever be like 100% and I'll get that ability to put my hand up again or not, or that might take tendon repair surgery to get me to be able to do this. And because right now I can flop it, but I can't force it to stay up like this. This is what I've got going on with that. And it's like, I can feel my arm, it's trying in there. It feels like muscles and nerves are kind of like going, oh, you got this, but the brain sending that signal, it just doesn't do it. And that's because of the nerve is on its way, of being repaired. It's been cut apart and had tubing over it to try and teach it to go back in the direction that it originally started. I finally reached a point where my bone doesn't hurt anymore, and so it doesn't really hurt too much if somebody touches me or kind of jokingly taps me here. It does send like a vibration through my arm, but it's not painful as it used to be, so that's all positive. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an explanation of my experience with that, and it could be different for everyone, of course, and obviously it always depends on the injury itself to start with. I know a lot of people have talked to me that they've had nerve damage, and nerve damage versus severage is so much different, but in parts of the body it reacts differently. I know that my mom, she had nerve damage significantly to the brachial plexus. It's a cord of nerves in the neck, and she still has like numbness and tingling years and years later. So I don't ever 100% expect to be like I used to be. I accepted a long time ago that I will always be kind of disabled in a way, but able to work and able to do everything that I used to. It just takes me longer, and I don't feel everything the same way. Not in my leg, I still have numbness there, and it will be permanent, and not in my arm, especially not in my hand. And I might not ever get that feeling back in the top of my hand, but that's okay. It's kind of convenient in the way, if something was boiling hot, I wouldn't even know if it was touching me right here, so that's all right. Thank you for listening.